Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from every guy, and welcome back to the latest. So in the last episode, we came back home to find Isabella searching through some documents regarding something that we still don't know what still yet. But hey, we will get to know about that. But we kinda had a little talk about what happened with her, tried to talk about it. She said obviously the fact that the ghost started haunting her again and left us with a choice whether to be very rude to her or like, you know what, I kind of believe you, yeah, that way, and which turned out to be really good as we chose. And then after that today, or like in the last episode today, we had a little sarcastic talk with Luke considering we came across him again, little serious talk too. And after that, with Kylie, we had a great fun. I mean, as you saw in the last episode, she became quite the ghost and spooked her out really good. To the extent where she is finally like, okay, there is something, I admit. And then before we left, we had a little call or talk with Marianne, considering, or Marianne had a talk with us considering, is there anything related with the ladder or the mansion, which we'll see about that maybe today, maybe someday, if not today considering we are going to the mansion. So yeah, let's see all about that now. Okay. However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run head first into Luke. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people have of him without care or thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth. His mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think's standing in front of you?
An ass.
Oh, come on, Daisy. You've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Lately, I noticed his hand, partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At the slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. Oh, look at who we have here. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and doing at something on the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air with the way he's moving his arms, though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Teal.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke exhales, rolling his eyes at the ceiling and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old child throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare at the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite? I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You'd think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Tia said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise we'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, alright, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. On a different front, the offer of free dinner does sound enticing, however half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second I find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun! You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well, I...
She's so cute, man. My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I will regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself, but this gruntled expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I say it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking a message from Ashton shows up. Hey Becca, just the usual. Let's read it. Hey Becca, I will be around Salemville this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See you. Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by or he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he is at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she will do to him. Sighing, I slip the gadget back to my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him, and all to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait or is expecting me to be there. But there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person. But to put it simply, housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he will be busy this week. And well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he detests attending gatherings like this. It's a company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still, yeah, I was expecting this. Tough choice, but I have to pick one. Oh boy, I didn't expect that, huh? Okay, so this is a little tough choice, but since I'm on the route where this guy goes crazy psycho, yeah, I would not choose this, but choose this. Otherwise, I would have choose this, considering, yeah, it's Kylie, man. But still, I feel like, maybe Kylie can go crazy or something like that, but it can also go the other way. Oh man, that's where it's a little tough choice. But since it's not the good route for me and Luke, I will say, or for Luke considering he goes crazy, I would like to choose this. Hopefully it turns out a little better. Though when you look at it closely, it isn't such a difficult decision to make. First and foremost, no matter where I look at this, it is inappropriate to some degree. Disregarding Luke's honest intentions, I've only known the man for a grand total of 2 days, including today. If I'm going to be thoroughly specific, I will give it a grand total of around 10 hours. By all means, that's not enough reason for me to join them for dinner, even if he says Kyle is the one who requested it. To other people, it won't appear as innocent as he makes it out to be, and if there's one ugly thing about this city, it's this place is penchant for inane gossip. One little spark, it will spread like wildfire. Who knows how far it will go, how many years it will reach. What if Ashton hears about it? I'd rather not think about the consequences to that. I've got enough on my plate lately as it is. Being at the center of a rumor mill along with this man in whatever form it takes sends unpleasant chills down my spine. My handsomeness have already shown in my face as Kylie's smile immediately dissolves into a pout.
You're not gonna join us, are you?
I'm sorry, Kylie. I'd love to, but I have other things to do. Another time, maybe? A friend just texted me about something urgent, and he wants to meet tonight.
Just say it's a date, Daisy. The little rugrat will understand. She's not an infant, no need for blatant lies.
He instantly crawls up my face at his baseless insinuations. I hope I said it right. Oh, what I would give for another chance to put a real dent on his skull.
What even gave you that idea? And even if it is, why do you care? Stop sticking your nose in other people's affairs.
Oh, your face says it all, woman. You think I won't recognize those longing looks?
There isn't a look, There isn't a look, all right?
Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, Daisy.
You already have a story written inside that head of yours, don't you?
Oh, please. It's not that interesting. The color of your face does suit you, though. Matches the hair. Well, come on now, Munchkin. I'll just buy you an extra glass of that parfait.
With extra strawberries?
I'll get you a basket full if you want. As long as you behave. And no complaints if they don't have enough syrup again. Deal?
Deal. Have fun with your date, Miss Pink.
Oh man, Luke's already leading the child away before I can correct her. Upon reaching the end of the hall, however, he doesn't miss the chance to shoot me another one of those infuriating winks. Does he really think women enjoy those? I'd sue him for harassment if I can. Though I must admit, the two of them walking together hand in hand is an endearing sight in itself. It's something to mull over, along with other confusing and frustrating things about this guy. Some other time though. Ashton's waiting. Okay, oh, that was pretty good. Pretty. I don't know if it would have been better than the other one though, so yeah, let's see how this one will go now. His car's headlights have been left unturned. His car's headlights have been left turned on, illuminating the otherwise empty parking lot. If it's like that, this is probably going to be a quick visit. Although our landlady would probably have a few hundred words to say about this before letting it go. Not many in this complex own a vehicle anyway to warrant this space's frequent use, owing to this area's proximity to downtown Luxembourg. No one's going to be disturbed if one car stays parked with its light on for a few minutes. Right now though, it serves as a pleasant company while I idle inside my own car, thumbing the invitation's fine print, flipping it over and over until the motions become familiar enough. What should I say? How should I say it? There is a very high chance he will say no, but on the off chance he accepts, what should I do? Fears, doubts, questions I haven't asked before, and more often than not, the anxiety is because of him. Don't worry, he will come. 17 years ago I have been in the same position, a different letter in hand. Somehow, nothing has changed. Perhaps if he had noticed how I have always felt about him years ago, I wouldn't be in this predicament. Honestly, he managed to ace all those exams at school without even lifting a finger, and he couldn't figure this out.
How dense can he get?
But I can't very well wait for another 2 decades just for something as measly as an invitation, can I? It's not like it's going to be a date. Oh man. Although frankly, I wouldn't mind if it is. However, that's a wish best reserved for some other time. I won't get anywhere if I just keep thinking about the what ifs. Gathering all my thoughts and courage, I step out of my car and gingerly make my way upstairs, invitation in hand. Ever since the incident 3 days ago, there is a strange air permeating the atmosphere here. Weighted, but the sort that slowly trickles through you until the burden of it finally bogs you down with some kind of disquiet. The days since have been uneasy, and Isabella's absence from her flat does not help settle it. Every day, coming home somewhat feels like an uphill battle in itself, leaving you spent when you are supposed to be getting some sleep or rest. Is Zachary experiencing the same thing? I certainly am, and he is also experiencing the same thing. Don't you worry, everybody are experiencing this same thing. The same weary slump is also on Ashton's shoulders once I catch a glimpse of him. He's leaning casually on the rails, his back against its metal surface, while reading through a bunch of papers. Forensic report. Each one appears more important than the other, despite me having never read a letter of it. He will probably head back to the precinct after this, if it's not going to drop by Zachary's for a bit of a shut-eye. No rest for the wicked. But no matter how occupied he seems, he pauses anyway and looks up from his work the moment he hears my threats. He raises a hand in greeting as a small smile spreads across his lips. Exhausted as I am, I can't help but return it to him.
What brought you here?
He hums something inaudible, neither an answer nor even a vague hint before he turns his attention back to the papers. For a passing second, I thought he had ignored or evaded the question, like every single time I've asked. But then he shuffles the documents back to a binder and sets it aside with a huff. Its sound more fatigued than I have ever heard from him recently. Either there's simply too many things keeping him busy at once, or his investigation isn't going too well. Maybe even both.
Just work.
Just work? Do you expect me to believe that?
In a way. I didn't think an important contact ditched me and now I'm stuck would make for a cool alibi. Did it work?
As if there's going to be any difference. You're still a dafty. Anyway, do you want to come in? But if you're going to hang around for a bit, you better turn those headlights off. My landlady's one hairline away from banning you off this place, you know? Stop taking the piss out of her. She's a nice woman.
When she stops taking the piss out of Shirley, maybe I will.
You and your bloody car.
The first time I have heard of the name, I did a double take. From the way he puts it, it was as if he was talking about some woman he met somewhere, surprisingly got along with and grown fond of, but it's a car. But still, still good. Never mind how impossible that is, knowing his lack of interest for people outside our small circle. Honestly, it sent a surge of panic in me. It lasted for days. Until he proudly introduced me to his new car. His car!
Hey, it's a nice name. Don't laugh at it. It'll hurt her feelings. I'm gonna have to give that offer a pass, though.
Okay. Nothing unexpected, but admittedly, I'm hoping he will stay for a few minutes. Suddenly asking him to accompany me to some housewarming party is starting to turn into a bad idea. If he can't even be bothered to spare a second of his time to his friends, what's more if he has to stand some hours in a room full of strangers, though?
I need to get going. I just dropped in to check on something and...
His words trail off, cut mid-sentence on purpose, leaving it for me to comprehend the rest of it. At the same time, his eyes shift momentarily towards the door closest to us. That's Isabella's unit. Eerily quiet now in her absence. The instant his lips curve into a small frown, his shoulder tense, I know work is far from his reasons for being here. Being all too aware of that idea alone summons another dull ache straight in my chest. Like every time, every single moment, he affords her the attention he can never seem to spare others. While it is a worry better left for a different situation, it twinges the heart, nevertheless.
Is there a problem?
Nothing of note. Abigail just wanted to ask her a few things.
Just a little jealous.
It's related to that incident with Cooper. You heard the one.
Hold on. She isn't in trouble, is she?
No, I don't think so. Not as far as I know. And do you really think Scaredy Cat can do anything like that? It's just an off-the-record thing, okay? Abigail wanted to confirm something. She knows I'm friends with someone working at BRC, so she asked me. Apparently she isn't getting anything from that company, as long as the red tape's in the way. It's nothing urgent, though. She isn't answering her phone again, so I thought I'd check myself. I can wait until she gets home.
If she comes home soon. The last time I saw her was 2 nights ago.
His demeanor immediately changes. Despite his careful attempt to appear nonchalant, his eyes scream of an unspoken worry. It's almost painful to see how much he tries to hide it, especially in front of someone he has known for years. So she disappeared again. Not let's. That's pretty interesting, I wanted to say, yeah.
What? Did she take a vacation or something?
No word from her, unfortunately. And I don't think she'll go on a trip without telling us. It's been 2 days. 3 if she's not going to show up tomorrow either. Do you think we might have to file a missing person report?
I hope not. But let me know if anything happens. You know how to contact me. I'll see you later, Becca.
Ashton squeezes my shoulder light as he can before stepping away and heading straight for the stairs. His way of offering comfort in the middle of this little mess we have found ourselves in. But amidst all of this, a tiny voice at the back of my mind nudges at a memory. Something I've forgotten and the very reason why I've chosen to return home early. Oh my god, yeah, I also forgot about it. He's made it at 4 steps down when realization kicks in and awareness of the envelope I have been holding returns to me. Panic rears before proper words can form or I can think about the situation. Not a second sooner, I'm calling after him.
Ashton, wait!
He halts 1 foot already down another step when he turns to me, raising an eyebrow in question.
Yeah?
And of all times, it is in this moment when I falter, the adrenaline from earlier's panic suddenly recedes. All of a sudden, none of the things I've prepared to say will take form, and I'm caught between simply forgetting about this or just blurting it out to him while hoping for the best. Should I even? Now let's save. And now let's say this. Tomorrow afternoon, do you have time? There is nothing wrong with trying, I suppose, yeah? I'm not going to lose to anything. I'm not going to lose anything if he says no, yeah. Which frankly has a very high chance of happening than the opposite. Though the thought still doesn't prevent heat from calling up my face and send my heart racing. It's better to get this over with before my throat closes up and I lose my nerve.
Tomorrow afternoon? Do you have time?
A small frown is already on his face. I already see where this is going and what he's thinking from that alone. Yet for some bullish reason, I continue, hanging on to that tiny glimmer of hope he will say yes if I present an argument good enough for him.
That depends. Why?
Well, you see, someone sent an invite for a housewarming party, and I thought you might want to...
Rebecca, I'd rather stand on the messy end of a gunshot. You know that.
I know, it's just...
Say, where's the housewarming party at?
You're one of the few people I can count on with things like this.
That's cool, I appreciate the thought, but really, Zach's a better companion. Gatherings like that just aren't my cup of tea.
It did cross my mind, you know. If he isn't busy with his freelance work, I'd probably ask him too.
Oh, don't worry, Zach's also going to be there.
Actually, you two would have been spared if Isabella was here, but...
Why not just skip out on it? The world's not going to end if one guest doesn't show up.
Trust me, I'd love to. But I promised Mom I'll be there.
Still can't say no, huh?
Like you're any better. Besides, the person who sent this is an old friend of Mom and Dad. If it's important to them, why not? Though, who would have thought, huh? The famous Evans heir used to be tutored by my parents. Apparently, we also met before.
Now let's see his expression change.
Wait, who?
Evans. Hannah Evans. Well, she's already married. She goes by Hannah Wright now. Remember the couple who bought the mansion Isabella's selling?
The same people?
As far as I know. Unless I misread their address, or there's another Hannah Wright in this city that we don't know about.
Let me see that.
Without waiting, he walks closer and takes the invitation off my hands, gently but with the same force of urgency in his voice. Oh wow, he's definitely coming to the party now, huh? I don't know what he finds in it, but his eyebrows draw together as his eyes scan through the little lines of text printed on the small piece of paper. His hold on the envelope tightens with each pass, and by the time he has finished reading, his mouth has formed into a thin line.
You never mentioned this.
We met just once. Or at least, that's what Mum told me. Honestly, I can't recall anything from it. Otherwise, I would have told you about it.
He hums something inaudible under his breath, all while thumbing the paper, staring at it as if doing so will proffer him answers to every unspoken question in his head. When he gleans nothing from it, he merely folds the envelope back to its form.
Alright, I'll go with you.
What?
I'll go with you. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Unless you've already made up your mind about asking Z-Man.
No, I told you already the guy's busy. Why would I bother him for this when I can go alone? But what about your own work and...
Yeah, no, the work's there only now.
I can make time for this. 3 o'clock, yeah? I'll pick you up an hour or so before.
My head reels less from what this implies, more from how easy all this seems for him, how fast this turn around is. He's already halfway down the stairs when any semblance of sense returns to me, and I can finally string 2 words of protest together. Yet all of it dies on my tongue at the small smile he shoots me. He disappears from view seconds later, his footsteps gradually fading as he descends the stairwell until all I can hear are my own shallow breaths and heartbeat, loud moaning hard against my chest. It is only after I am standing alone in my room minutes later that it sinks in. He has taken the invitation with him, but besides that, more than that, he has also accepted mine. Calling this happiness is a complete understatement. For now, looming thoughts of the mansion and that woman lay silent at the back of my head. And it will come back. The night wears on without further incident, despite the great number of thoughts swimming inside my head. Come morning, there is only a hush, a strange sort of stillness, like the ones greeting me every morning. Yeah, morning. It's just written in short form, morn. This one's uneasy, tied with anticipation, like a string stretched thin, merely waiting for the proper time to snap. Granted, it doesn't make my day any less pleasant, but the edge is there. And as expected, the second I step out of my flat, it comes apart, broken by the voices of 2 squabbling adults echoing from a floor below. The quiet was nice while it lasted. Shame.
What the hell were you thinking?
I wasn't. Ow! Could you let go?
Oh, it's them. Oh. Not a few seconds later, they both ascend the stairs with Ashton pulling Isabella by her wrist. She struggles as she should, but his hold on her remains firm. Freeing herself means having to draw blood as she attempts to pry his hand off with her other one, or using unnecessary force to push herself away. Neither of which is better than other. One could potentially end in an accident, while the other means having to hurt him physically. She has the good sense to realize that, at least. However, it doesn't take the desperate edge in her voice when she answers Ashton's temper with her own. So on they go, none the wiser to my presence.
Do you have any idea how much trouble you could get in?
That's why I'm asking you for help.
Is this what you've been doing these past 3 days? Because this doesn't make your case convincing, Isabella.
Rose died, Ash.
I know. Every single person in Luxburg knows. It's on the damn news. But that doesn't mean...
People are missing. Some of those are my friends. And BRC's just covering it all up.
You can't just barge into my office and expect me to do anything about it, right off the bat. This isn't a children's game, Isabella. We have procedures. We have to follow protocol. There's red tape all over this case for a reason. We sure as hell don't investigate things just because some stupid letter spooked us.
Ash, you have to believe me this time. If we don't do anything right now, more people will...
It's been a whole week. This stupid letter prank is getting old real fast. I'm sick of it. It was funny the first time, not so much now.
You're the only one that can help me with this, Ash. Even Rebecca won't.
All right, you two are awfully loud. What's going on here?
Both of their heads snap up almost in unison. A displeased frown is on each of their faces, but this is a necessary interruption. What can they do? People still in their units have already taken interest on their commotion, with some taking a peek behind their curtains while others are bold enough to creak open their doors, if only slightly. If they don't keep it down, pretty soon our landlady will show up. Getting a reprimand from her is the last thing I want to happen, first thing on a Friday morning, even if this is hardly my fault.
Well, if you want to continue this, you two better do it elsewhere. You're disturbing other people.
Don't worry, we're done here.
No, we aren't. Becca, I looked it up. I called them. I visited some of them and...
Which you shouldn't have done in the first place. Isabella, you're going to create more problems for us with what you're doing. A team has already been assigned to it. Leave it to us.
Your precious team is looking at it the wrong way. Becca, it's not just Rose. There are others.
At last fate strikes a chord, prods strongly at a memory, and that vicious smile already etched deeply inside my mind. The image appears clear enough that, at the mere mention of it, I stumble on my own question.
What do you mean?
The letter, Rebecca! It's not.
It's nothing. If there's really something going on because of that dumb letter, none of us would be standing here. We've all read it, haven't we? But Rebecca's alive, Zach's alive, I'm alive. So for the last time, this isn't a curse.
Oh, it's because Zach, Isabella, I don't know about Marianne, are alive because of my choices. She would not be over here if for my choices. So yeah, it would have been the curse if not for that.
There's a murderer on the loose, and your co-workers happen to be the victims. Give it a rest, Isabella. It's too early for this.
Don't you think that's too much for a coincidence?
Not so much. Most serial killers follow a pattern. I'll tell you about it some other time. And anyway, coincidence or not, the point is, civilians like you aren't supposed to get involved. You're putting yourself in danger.
I wasn't chasing after her.
Will the both of you slow down and stop arguing for a minute? What's this about your coworkers, Belle?
Becca, please don't tell me now you believe this
Sure, in a heartbeat, I will agree with Ashton, but that's how it has always been. Besides having a very good point, really, they are the very same ones he will make every time I ask too many questions. But the fact of the matter is, what he wants to hear from me right now is far, far, far from what I have been seeing, sensing this past few days. It doesn't matter what Isabella or I believe on our own. Something odd has been happening around me, and that letter she picked up is at the heart of this. Oh, but however I respond to the question in their faces, only one of them will be pleased with it. Oh, so who wanna be pleased? Would it be Isabella? Belle, you shouldn't be doing this. I mean, that's his favor. I might have seen her, which is her favor. Let's say first. Alright, so my choice is really, really, really clear, and it's I might have seen her, yeah. Ashton in particular won't be too happy to hear it. But considering from a person like me, aka Rebecca, he will get a little surprised and may consider things. Let's see. Imagining the look his face doesn't take too much effort. His entire posture shifts the moment my reluctance shows, shoulders tensing, brows furrowing, eyes gaining a sharp edge. He's already bracing himself from the disappointment. And it will be a disappointment. Not in a million years did I ever believe I will be saying this either.
I might have seen her. The woman Belle's been telling us about. The one she said she saw in the attic.
Both of them stare at me like I have grown an extra head, and for a few moments Ashton looked as if he's about to have a fit. Foss treads at his heels after a silence thick enough one can almost hear a pin drop.
You're kidding, right?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Really, Becca? Not funny.
Ash, I'm not lying. Why would I lie about this? It's been this way since the film fest. The past few days have been really odd since we read that letter. Last night, you mentioned Zach hasn't been acting like himself. Maybe you should ask him, too.
Or maybe you're all just feeling under the weather.
Oh, all under the weather. What a coincidence. I really want to see Isaac. What's going on with him?
I'm not sick. Don't you think I'd know that by now?
Becca, you're starting to sound like Scaredy Cat. Give me a break.
Why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, you two.
Isabella's voice cuts sharply through the conversation, abruptly putting an end to the brewing argument. Oh man, Ashton's even a big excuse maker. Even bigger than Rebecca, I will say. Oh, it's gotta have to be that murderer who's trying to scare us.
It's all my fault. This is all my fault. I was only hoping I could fix this before any of you. I'm sorry for dragging you all into this.
She breathes in, deep, steadying, and in that moment, something falls behind her eyes as she looks away.
I'll fix this. I promise.
Quite resolved. The same one I saw in her that night from 3 days ago. This time it burns brighter. Even Ashton wavers at his side when she looks him straight in the eyes, gaze unflinching. Gradually his grip on her wrist loosens.
Belle, there's nothing to fix. The problem is,
Just this once, Ash.
Her voice, though small and lacking any force, stops him. Along with it, every sound, every noise dies around us, a hush descending as if the world is waiting for her words.
You don't have to come with me. But if I don't do anything, I am going to regret it.
She lays a hand atop his, gentle, pleading, almost intimate if one does not consider the circumstances we have found ourselves in.
Please.
Ashton will never tell us all, will never admit it even to himself, but it is in that short second that his own resolve breaks. The moment the hard edge in his eyes softens and he relinquishes his hold on her, letting his hand fall limply to his side. Wordlessly, Isabella steps back and runs off, leaving only a muttered thanks and a small lackluster smile. Only after the last of her footsteps fade away does Ashton move, breaking the silence with one of his sharp exhales before reaching up to pinch the bridge of his nose in a gesture of frustration and surrender.
did you really have to tell her that?
What do you want to hear from me then? That everything's fine?
No, I want all of you to stop putting these ideas in her head. None of it is helping. Never mind. Don't worry about her. I'll bring her back here.
He's already poised to leave when my own instinct takes over. I reach for him, gripping his elbow with the same unyielding grip, the action prompted by voices whispering at the back of my head. He's already made it clear he's not going to believe me, but he deserves a word of caution. Who knows where all of this will take us, how all of this will end. He shouldn't be caught off guard, beliefs notwithstanding.
Ash, I know you don't believe in those things she's saying. And you know me. I'm less inclined to believe in those things as you do. But I've seen something. There's something strange going on here. You don't have to buy it. If you don't want to listen to me, fine. But please, try to hear her out. It's bad enough that Isabella goes off like this without telling anyone. I'm just worried something might happen to her if she keeps at it. Talk to her, okay?
As if she trusts me enough for that.
Doesn't the fact that she approached you first about this, instead of me, already say a lot?
A different kind of trust, granted implicitly and never spoken, sometimes too big, too fragile to last. He falls silent for a long moment as he turns it over in his head. Or mine. In the end, all he manages to offer is a small nod before he departs, and a promise to at least listen to her without teasing or the jibes. A favor for me and the least he could do for her. This is as much as I can do for him as well until I've understood what's happening myself. Let's see, tonight hopefully where this all started will provide the answers I'm looking for. The party, huh? Here we are at the party, let's see. Except the whole thing's off to a bad start and all of a sudden whatever Isabella claims dwelling in this mansion becomes the least of my concerns. Severely undressed is a total understatement to describe how I look. Yeah, car is worth more than my own apartment and childhood home combined line the mansion's front yard. Men and women decked out in their best also flock near the entrance. Most are eager for the festivities to start, while some are simply idling about and enjoying the warm afternoon sun before it sets. But once the woman standing at the front porch speaks, their undivided attention immediately shifts to her. And that's Sahana, presumably Miss Wright, from the confident manner she holds herself among present company. This, despite keeping a far simpler appearance than the rest of her own guests, or not having her husband beside her. Who could he be? A trait worthy of utmost admiration at best. At worst, she's the envy of every woman, the subject of every gossip in Luxbourne.
Welcome everyone.
And Mum said we could have been good friends. I can't even picture myself mingling with the kind of guests she has. Though I admit, she does seem familiar now that I've seen her this close. Memories of sitting in a vanity not mine, being dressed in clothes too fancy for my own tastes. They flit briefly in my head or mind until her cheerful tone rises above the buzz of her enraptured audience again.
Please make yourselves at home.
I wish I can share her enthusiasms really. But being surrounded by all this extravagance, for the lack of a better term, merely makes me dread how the rest of the night might go. Also knowing there might be some truth to what lies inside the place helps drive the unease further by a notch. Ashton, on the other hand,
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
for someone who abhors gatherings like this, he already seems right at home, standing with an air to lackadaisical, wow, as he watches the valet drive off his bloody car.
Can't you at least act with a bit more shame?
Becca, if I find a single scratch on Shirley, there will be hell to pay.
Those guys know what they're doing. They're handling cars worth more than your precious Shirley.
My disdain has likely shown beyond the tone of my voice, quite possibly in the form of grimace. She chuckles, a rare moment where mirth and amusement danced across his features. That face though, so good. Try as I might to pull a stern glare, I can't help but join him instead. There is nothing in the lightness of it, in how easy this kind of interaction falls into place when we don't let feelings get too involved, in spite of being stuck in a situation we are not fond of. It brings back memories. However, the moment doesn't hold. All of a sudden, Ashton grows quiet.
Chief?
An odd expression flashes momentarily across his face, though he blinks it away before I can figure out what it is exactly.
Ashton, what's...
Sorry, Becca, I just saw someone I need to catch up with. Longtime friend.
It doesn't help that he isn't even making an effort to spare a glance my way when he hunts us. Instead, they are focused at some point in the crowd, his gaze darting between people walking past us until a small frown forms in his face.
Oh wait, Ash, what about...
This won't be long. Be careful while I'm gone, okay?
I meet the smile he hastily throws my way with a frown of my own. What does he mean by that? Before I can ask, he already has turned his way back from me and is walking away without a single explanation whatsoever. In some desperate effort, I try to catch up to him, if only to know what warranted this sudden departure and his odd warning at the end.
Hey, be careful! About what exactly?
Only for my attempts to be interrupted by a muffled ringing from my pocket. Mom's cheerful voice greets me as soon as I answer.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
The conversation itself doesn't last long. Just a simple hello, reminder to enjoy the party and to send their regards to their old student. But when the call ends and I get to look up, Ashton's already heading inside. To sigh and admittedly a little disappointment, I tuck my mobile back into my pocket and follow after him.
So much for date.
Even with familiar company, this is somehow shaping up to a terrible evening. Let's see, it's gonna go more terrible. The party hits full swing on an hour later. With host's opening remarks given, still no sign of her husband, the poor woman, and the guests promptly fed, the band shifts the melody to a livelier tune. Soon laughter and the rhythmic tapping of shoes fill the room, all in accordance to the lifting strains of music. It seems fun, I admit. Fascinating at certain moments, the flurry of dancers making the music their own, almost with no care in the world. If I weren't so indisposed, I had have joined the crowd for a song or two. There isn't a lack of invitations anyway, plenty of them, in fact, with some asking more than once. It's only my stubborn refusal that prevents me from joining them. And I can. A single nod is all it will take, and the evening would have been far enjoyable for me. But pride and my own silly hopes, the thought of being seen with one of them by him, curbs that as much as I hate to admit it. It's a hard truth to swallow, especially when the very person at the center of it makes denial difficult. Can't even spare me a minute of his attention or a single glance at me the whole evening. Hell, Zachary might have spoken more words to me. The big guy's busy covering the event to boot. but at least he manages to slip in a conversation or two between takes, or a small wave of his hand when he passes by. What's Ashton's excuse? He's been flitting in and out of the side the whole time. One moment he's hanging around a small group, in another he's hovering around the string band. Just a second ago he's wolfing down some deviled eggs by the buffet table, glass of wine in hand. The next thing I know he's gone. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he only agreed to come with me for another reason.
I swear, the next person who asks, I'm dancing the night away with. Ashton can go.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Her voice almost makes me jump, too focused on the gobshite wandering around the ballroom and my own annoyance to notice if she's heard of any of the profanities I've mumbled, or if she's taken any notice of my discomfiture. She makes no comment on it, merely greeting me with a smile when I turn my attention to her. Miss Hannah Wright gives off a whole different air when she's not speaking to an audience. Homely, a bit too friendly for my liking. Oh, she's so good, man. Ah, man, things that are gonna happen from you. But I guess that comes from being raised in such an environment and having to deal with pompous, snooty people. Though I suppose nothing has really changed from years ago. I remember her carrying herself in the same manner during that one and only visit. Does she remember any of it? I won't be surprised if she doesn't. It has taken me a while, myself. She's probably met a lot of people like little Becky throughout the years, might have already forgotten about me or my parents. People like her thrive on connections after all. Nevertheless, I return her smile, awkward and stiff as it may be.
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
It takes me a while to realize who she's talking about, until Ashton walks by again in closer proximity than any of the times he has done so far this evening. Still without a look of acknowledgement our way, though. Even if Miss Wright speaks out loud enough to catch the attention of anyone within earshot.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
Oh yeah, we had this conversation too. This isn't the first time someone has made that assumption. Almost every student I have heard in the past did. My co-workers more often than not assume he is. A few of my neighbors also think we are an item. Not that Ashton has ever reacted to those. He's been quite indifferent about it in fact. Still, the heat of a blush creeps up my face, cheeks, a denial ready, despite wanting it to happen so badly myself.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
I do my best to summon a straight face, but before her good cheer, it easily falters.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
And it's infectious in a way. No sooner I find myself enjoying our chat more than I've imagined myself to. Although her attention briefly wavers at one point, she remains a good companion. Even more once I've mentioned who my parents are. Her face quickly lights up, and fondness graces her face despite the meeting from several years ago being a short one. But of course, there are some things we really can't avoid talking about. After all, it's one of the few things I remember her asking me the moment she spotted little Becky in the room. Do you have a boyfriend? In retrospect, it's an odd thing to talk about as children when there are loads we could have started with.
Yes, oh, I remember you. you. You were the cutest little thing with glasses. And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
I believe I still have the clothes she gave me, chosen also I could impress him. And even back then, Ashton has always been denser than a rock, and that one attempt to get him to notice backfired spectacularly. Sure, he's keen, he's a detective for heaven's sake, but feelings, more often than not, escapes him.
What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
Which makes this whole talk all the more embarrassing. And the more names she lists off, the more my discomfort grows, until my smile turns into a grimace. What will she think of me? Here she is, married to a man she most probably loves, at that, while I'm still stuck in the same place, yearning for the same person.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
She says that, but for a short moment, a hint of pity flickers in her eyes. I take that as a chance to change the topic, before anything more can be said over the topic. I haven't even sorted these things out for myself.
So, this is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Though, to be frank, I doubt she will be so willing to pass this up. The topic has already captured her attention.
Please, Hannah is fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it.
Hypocrisy, that's what this is. How dare I preach about something when it's exactly what I've been doing? And then, I go and act as if I'm entitled to any of it. Wow. And this very sentence does a big impact on her if we had been on the good route, though. But yeah, still good. That by virtue, good for her, but for us, let's see. That by virtue of us growing up together, he must return whatever I feel for him. That's he's not allowed to look at another, because I'm the one who has stayed by his side the longest. When in the first place, Ashton has always been his own person. And if you don't, he may very well go for someone else. This is something I cannot force on him. I can only hold on to this, take care of it, until the time comes I can confess it to him. Great, if he reciprocates, but if he can't, if he won't, selfish, I've been too selfish.
But what do I know?
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about.
At one point, maybe I would have easily agreed to that. However, the past weeks has also seen changes in the way I view things. As nice as these things sound, it turns out whatever I previously know may not even be true for other people or for myself. It is sobering and almost funny how things I might have said with much certainty before now has doubts mudding each of them. But there will be time to mull about those later, because when a hush suddenly descends in the room, a whole different issue rears. Especially when Luke strides into the now quiet ballroom, fashionably late and oozing with the same pompous mien he always carried around with him. Although that scene never happened, where she kind of freaks out something behind her or something like that. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
Before long, Hannah leaves my side to join him, and it doesn't take a genius to piece it all together.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are all ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen. If you would excuse my presumptuousness.
Let's see what her viewpoint is gonna be like now.
So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
His attitude, the manner he carries himself around people, his unfamiliarity with that part of the city. Oh, of course! I should have known. Although I am partly at fault here, tabloids and the gossip columns have never been really my thing. I should have also expected that wherever Luke Wright is, some sort of drama will sure follow. He seems the kind of person who revels in it, figures it will find him on its own, even when he's not asking for it. Cause it does. It happens amidst a round of applause and hoots that people lagging behind the crowd they have gathered does not catch on until the cheers turn into several scandalized gasps.
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility. God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
The commotion doesn't go further, despite the drunk woman appearing like she has plenty more venom to spill. In a little while, security shows up, escorting her out. Apparently, she's the chief inspector's wife too. As if this whole thing can't get any more messed up than it already is. What a mess. But the damage has been done, and beyond the repercussions this will bring, I'm more worried about Hana. Maybe Luke too. In part, I have seen the man that hides behind his self-importance, and it is someone who cares for the person who stands beside him. No matter how questionable that is now, though sometimes mere affections aren't enough.
And I've had enough of you. So guess what? You, Luke.
We agreed to never talk of this, woman!
Did we? I don't remember.
I don't know how long this has been going. I don't know either of them well to judge for myself. I'm simply an outsider who happens to have some kind of connection with both of them.
Face it, Lucille Mitchell-Wright. You owe me everything.
I owe you everything. I owe you everything? Who's running the business now while you sit at home like a pretty princess?
If I recall, you told me to retire so that I can enjoy my time as Mrs. Luke Wright.
I wouldn't even bother with other women if you were still Hannah Evans. You used to be your own woman. You used to be someone who I could look up to. Now look at you. If I wanted some brainless bint, I'd go to the whorehouse and play any old strumpet like a fiddle. That's all you are now. A brainless, good-for-nothing.
But the second Hana raises her hand, I know it's far too late to save an already crumbling relationship. Long before her palm connects with his cheek. The sound of it echoes throughout the whole ballroom, loud enough to silence everyone. The quiet does not persist. However, in an instant, Luke orders every guest out.
That's it! This party is over! Everybody leave before I have you all thrown out!
There's shuffling, a minute of reluctance from every head in the room. But in the end, his anger forces everyone to comply. Chatter explodes throughout the whole foyer once the door has been promptly shut. Worried murmurs, clicking of tongues, and an inappropriate gossip filters through the thick tension in the room. I couldn't care less any about it. Besides, it's pretty obvious what the topic is. Most of them haven't even left the premises and they are already talking about it. Tomorrow, it will be on the news for sure, in every local broadsheet and tabloid in Luxembourg. Simply thinking about it already gives me a headache. When the shock has faded, I just feel bone tired. I have accomplished nothing of what I have come here for, and Ashton's nowhere to be found. Yeah, that's the main thing. I'm not so sure what pisses me off more. That he ignored me the whole evening and might have just left without saying anything, or knowing he obviously has some other motive for being here. Can't he at least trust his own friends for that?
He didn't have to lie to me.
The only relief to be had in this, perhaps, is Zachary's comforting smile when he approaches. He appears as disturbed when he stands beside me, fiddling with the buttons on his camera.
Night, huh?
He appears as disturbed when he stands beside me, fiddling with the buttons on his camera, even though the device is off.
You can say that again. It was awful.
He pauses for a moment, stares at me intently. Then he laughs, a tired one but filled with humor, in spite of what we have witnessed.
Let me guess. Ashton.
Oh, what makes you think he's my problem?
Just a hunch. And, it's all in your face, actually.
Why does he have to? I don't understand that man anymore.
Like I always say, you should just...
Oh, you can bet your ass we're going to have a very long talk. I'm not letting him off easy this time.
I'm sure he has a good reason. He won't say it, but he likes being around us. Heck, we're probably the only people he likes. He ain't gonna ruin that for something stupid. He can be dense, but he ain't dumb.
But that's exactly what I've been telling people, isn't it?
We'll see about that. Let's just go. Are you done here?
Yeah, no use staying when...
Just then, the door to the ballroom slams open and a very irate Luke marches out into the foyer. By now, most of the guests have trickled out of the mansion, leaving only a few loitering around the room. With his fury still at its peak boiling point, it's only natural he will zero in on the tallest person within his temper's blast radius. Although he's not really making an effort not to let the remaining people in the hall hear his tirade.
Well, still here I see. Having a grand time, aren't we? Every bloody goss in this city has something to talk about tomorrow. Great news day, isn't it? I wonder what the headlines will be. Cheating husband lashes out at poor wife.
I ain't a part of the media, sir. Miss Wright only hired me for the photos, nothing more.
Oh, the photos, of course, how could I forget? Darling wifey needs a bloody souvenir, doesn't she? Something to remind her of how she humiliated her of a husband.
I'm sure it ain't like that, sir. Ahana's no one expected.
Hand it over.
I'm sorry, what?
Are you also deaf? Do I always have to spell everything out to you peasants? Hand the blasted thing over! All of you! If I see one picture, even a single shot of a spoon tomorrow, you will all lose more than your jobs. Now give me the bloody camera.
I can't do that, sir. I do freelance work, and this is my...
Do I look like I give a Give it to me, or...
I wonder what Kylie will say if she sees Tio Luke right now.
For a short second, he looks surprised to find me there. To be honest, I didn't realize I've spoken either until he turns a livid glare on me. A lesser person will probably cover under it. I will, too, perhaps in another situation where he isn't throwing insults at my friend. That one, I simply can't let go of.
Oh, Daisy, oh, Daisy. Do you always have to butt in on other people's discussions?
I wouldn't have to if there was actually one happening right now. It's pretty one-sided, eh? A bit offensive, too, if you ask me.
Woman, why don't you just bugger off? No one cares what your opinion is, especially in my home.
You don't have to worry about that, Mr. Luke Wright. I don't have any plans of staying longer. I'm only here to fetch my friend. I wasn't expecting to see an standing beside him, though.
Rebecca, you really don't have to.
Oh, no, you shut your trap. Let her say what she wants. I'd love to hear it. That feisty attitude is going to take you places, Daisy. Fair warning, though, woman, and I've said this plenty of times.
There's a pause as he steps closer, staring me down with almost little to no effort. I do my best to hold it, but I won't deny flinching at the tone he takes once he lets the next words from his mouth.
Threats do not work on me.
Then and there, I believe him. This man is capable of doing so much more than what any intimidating remark I can lob at him.
So if you don't have anything worth my while to say, it'd be in your best interests if you remove you and your precious friend from my property. Now, before I get the security to drag you out.
Another person takes that decision out of my hands.
Come on, Becca. He ain't worth your time.
Without wasting time, Zachary pulls me away from him. By the time I have regained my senses, he's already tucking me by my wrist towards the wide open doors. The stubborn part in me, however, the part who has seen the kind of person he is when he is with Kylie, refuses to withdraw without flinging in a last retort.
And here I thought you were a halfway decent guy. Whatever happened to the person his goddaughter looks up to?
He was never there, Daisy. That man died a long time ago. You're better off not looking for him.
I won't. I have no intention to, but I can't resist the urge to glance back before I leave. If only to have one last look at the man he really is. Perhaps I should be thankful this brief acquaintance isn't going anywhere. But the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it. The ghost. Looming, hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. Like the first time I have stepped inside this place in search of Isabella. He was there too, wasn't he? That man, along with his wife and another person, Miss McCullough. And that shadow, oh, look at that. No, a woman now. Her, no longer a dark blur. Terror rushes through every vein in my body. A crippling sensation gripping every part of me while she stares at me with a glare filled with nothing but hate and venom. It's like staring at the eyes of a woman I've unknowingly robbed of something precious. I try to say something, a warning, but Zachary is already leading me out of the foyer, oblivious. But before I can gather my wits and voice it out, someone shuts the door behind me, as if to keep outsiders away from the secrets this mansion possesses. Oh, that was crazy, whoa! Oh, and I guess he goes crazy because of how the ghost is getting closer and closer, especially because how he has become. So, yeah, we will see all about him and everything in the next episode and the coming episode. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please click that like button, subscribe for more awesome content, comment down below your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, take care.